Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't think you recognized me.
You drove up. Pretty much lazy tread all day.
Oh, he's out around, dragging something around. I think it was.
He gets out, she goes over to see him. Feels safe.
I sanitize them all. I know, that's the last time. It didn't work already. Really did. We haven't been along
The initial part of the month, we will
Hi.
Hey!
Hello. How are you? I got everything. Thank you so much. Bye. Yeah, that's my fault. I'm a different Okay. Thank you. Glasses are falling.
What's that?
Glasses
Yeah, they've got a lot better. I'm gonna run down the hall. Think I could- Remember to make a run?
Ready, you're gonna get hand cramps tonight.
What's that? Oh, a lot of signatures.
Oh, lots of
Are you good?
signatures.
Some are just for you and Dave, and then the rest are red folders for everybody. Right back here and down the line.
Do you have the listing?
Oh, the speakers? I can go grab
Yes, sir. Hi, Bradley.
They've got their own list, so we don't have to shoot too many bricks.
I saw there's one brick left.
Just drenched my hands
You know
in
what's scary about that?
sanitizer and I'm dripping still. Pardon me? It was delicious. Everybody liked it. Thank you. Pardon me? Oh, great. There's not too much left.
Everybody? We'll call ourselves to order. Everyone would join me in a moment of silence. Joining the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm present. Dr. O'Neill.
Present.
Mr. Heater.
Present.
Mrs. Bales. Mrs. Barnes Griffin is traveling. Mr. Irvin.
Present.
Mr. Lowe.
Present.
Thank you. At this point, is Northview ready? We're going to leave our mask on tonight to speak, given Omicron.
She going to provide training for this?
She is,
Yeah.
yes.
Because I'll just touch the screen a lot.
I have names in all of you.
Yeah, okay.
They've all been sanitized before, but I can have your names in there.
Thank you.
Yes.
President Williams, member of the board, Dr. K, members of cabinet, Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share about Northview Elementary, home of the Rockets. Historically, I've been known to have a game such as Jeopardy or an interactive pear deck for you to participate in, but this year we were told to use a template, so I tried to incorporate as much of myself into it as I could. All the great astronauts and scientists at NASA would say that a rocket's initial trajectory would look similar to this. In the perfect world, the Northview rocket's trajectory would also look like this, and we would be at 100% proficiency in reading and math. But unfortunately, our trajectory looks a little more like this. It's all over the place. We have highs, we have lows, we have twists, we have turns, and we have obstacles throughout our trajectory. But that's why the staff of Northview continue to show up daily to meet the needs of our students. Tonight, we are going to highlight various parts of our trajectory, starting with some general information. I know I'm biased, but Northview has the best students within the Muncie Community Schools. Last year, I was able to report a 12% increase in student enrollment. Although I cannot report an increase this year, I can report that our enrollment has maintained from the 2020-21 to the 21-22 school year. We have approximately 325 students ranging in grades pre-K to 5th grade. With a stable environment, we are also able to maintain our staffing. We currently have 20 teachers, 3 instructional assistants, 1 assistant coordinator, 1 secretary, 1 counselor, 1 super volunteer as well. Together, we work as a collective unit to straighten our trajectory and surge upward. The next stop on our trajectory is revisiting the past, which leads us to our next stop on past data. As you can see here, our iLearn scores from the 2020-2021 school year are certainly not where we would like them to be. With percent proficiency ranging from 21% to 34%, it's safe to say we have our work cut out for us. I'm not one to make excuses, however, there are many negative contributing factors that we have had to overcome. There was a learning loss from March of 2020 to August of 2020. There was an increased absenteeism throughout the 2021 school year due to isolation and quarantining guidelines. There was a population of students who were attending school virtually and the overall impact of the students' social and emotional health due to the pandemic. We did not back down from our data. We took this as an opportunity to reflect on our teaching practices and establish goals to aid in propelling our trajectory upward. And I'm confident in our staff and students that this year, positive growth will be made. As I reflect on myself as an educator, I like to establish what I call a power word to maintain focus on our goals. I want you to imagine you are a principal at an elementary school within the Muncie Community Schools. What would your one power word be? Just when you thought you could sit back and relax, I'm going to throw in an interactive piece because that's what I do. At this time, I ask that you pick up the iPad that was provided in front of you. You can double click the home key twice. So Jamboard is a
What's the home key?
What's the little circle down at the bottom.
Down at the bottom. Okay. Thank you.
So Jamboard is a Google teaching tool that Steve Spradlin has introduced to all Muncie Community School staff members. And it's like a digital whiteboard that allows students to collaborate in real time with one another and the teacher. And tonight we're going to put it into practice just as our students and teachers do. So as you can see, I don't know if you guys know how Google famous you are, but there were images of all of you very quickly when I just typed your name in Google's. And Pastor Keith had several good ones to choose from, so I had to be selective with mine.
Well, I mean, come on.
All right, on my jam session, you will see your image, and you are going to place your image below the picture. So Miss Jersha is going to demonstrate for us. You will click on the 4th button on the left side. This is called the sticky note option. Here, it's going to ask you to type in your one power word. So what would your one power word be if you were an elementary principal? You can change the color of your sticky note if you would like. After you click save, you will then click cancel and be able to drag your sticky note underneath your picture. So go ahead and take a moment to do that. If you need assistance, we will be around to help.
I'm behind.
Tired.
Do you like my word, Heidi?
I think you're stealing my spotlight, Dr. K. So it looks like we have words such as tired, work, grace, focus, empowerment, teamwork, and intentional. All great power words that would serve you as a leader. Thank you for sharing your power words with us. So at this time, I would like to share my power word, which mirrors Dr. K's power word as well. My power word is intentional. When planning, teaching, and reflecting, we want to be intentional. When we are intentional, we choose to make decisions and take action on what's important. Being intentional means getting clear and upfront about what we want to do. We set an intention to achieve a specific outcome or result. Being an intentional staff means everything we do is done with a clear purpose and focus. When we become intentional, we focus our time and energy on our strengths and don't allow excuses and fear to hold us back. This is one word that I use regularly with my staff and my instructional leadership team, and it's kind of been our leading charge this year. When speaking of intention, our instructional leadership team leads with intentionality. We work as a cohesive unit to support our students and staff. This year, we've had a change to our instructional leadership team. At Northview, we are blessed with a strong instructional leadership team. We work as a united front. However, each individual brings a different perspective and different experiences to our team. Our instructional leadership team is made up of Mrs. Aisha Allen, our master teacher, Miss Meg Jersha, who is here assisting this evening as a mentor teacher, Miss Sarah Stone, a mentor teacher, myself, Melissa Blossom, an NIT senior specialist, and Dr. Rebecca Brown, BSU PDS liaison. Northview is also fortunate to be the home of the district music mentor teacher, Mr. Andrew Hacker, and the district art mentor teacher, Miss Sarah Mosier. Back in November, the Northview Instructional Leadership Team had the opportunity to meet with and speak with NIT representatives from across the country. We met Dr. Josh Barnett, the co-president and chief operating officer of NIT, Dr. Tani Hudges, vice president of research and evaluation, Miss Vicki Collindry, senior vice president of services, Miss Jen Oliver, NIT director of Indiana, and Miss Melissa Blossom, NIT specialist. They gave us an opportunity to share how the NIT process has evolved at Northview Elementary this year. We shared with them our successes and our struggles, but most importantly, we expressed to them our reflective practices and our intentionality. Our instructional leadership team meets weekly. During these meetings, we discuss student data and teacher data. We all participate in the planning of our weekly focused cluster meetings that take place each Thursday. We conduct learning walks to offer teachers feedback on their teaching practices. Co-teaching strategies have been implemented throughout the building. Mrs. Allen, master teacher, also spends a substantial amount of time offering coaching sessions as well as cluster follow-up support. The main goal of our instructional leadership team is to support teachers and to become the best version of themselves while also increasing student achievement. As our trajectory continues to have peaks and valleys, we continue to persevere. From looking at past data to establishing a strong leadership team, we have been able to establish intentional goals to guide our instruction and professional development needs. At the end of the 2021 school year, we worked with Ms. Yvonne Rambo from iReady, Dr. Jarrell Cassidy from Ball State, Dr. Rebecca Brown, our PDS liaison, Ms. Tangela Sims, and Ms. Melissa Blossom, NIT, to cross-reference data points to establish our goals. When examining different assessments, trends were identified across both sources. We have created 3 academic goals, one in math, reading, and writing. In math, we saw deficits in the standard strands of number and operation. Our goal is to increase student automaticity and fluency in math in grades K through 5. Phonics instruction in grades K through 3 is our second goal. This includes monitoring Fontes and Pinnell phonics word study and implementation of Orton Gillingham in grades K through 3. Lastly, our writing goal is a continuation from last year. We are working to increase writing stamina as well as improve genre writing conventions and structure. But goals without a plan, that's just wishful thinking. And unfortunately, wishful thinking doesn't progress our students. As the instructional leadership team, we keep a few things in mind. First, is this professional development opportunity intentional at meeting our school-wide goals? And secondly, when looking at the instructional rubric, how does this professional development opportunity grow our teachers? This leads us to our weekly cluster focus. Attached is a list of our cluster focus that we have already implemented this year. We started with lesson planning, which has a direct correlation to the instructional rubric. This included creating strong I can statements, incorporating depth of knowledge questioning, and student work and assessment. By placing an emphasis on our planning, we are being intentional about what we are teaching. This cluster cycle was benefit on all 3 goals. From there, we transitioned to time on task activities. This cycle is primarily focused on using every moment as an instructional opportunity. This includes waiting in line for the bathroom, waiting during car dismissal, and in the cafeteria during lunch. An easy time on task activity is focusing on math facts. However, teachers have been using this time for read-alouds and sight word practice. Mrs. Allen, our master teacher, presented on co-teaching and has been in every classroom to implement at least one of the co-teaching strategies. As the years progressed, our mentor teachers, Ms. Jersha and Ms. Stone, have also had the opportunity to present alongside Ms. Allen about differentiation and visual charts. We did a cluster cycle on writing strategies and rubrics where we established quarterly benchmark assessments to ensure our students are prepared for the iLearn assessment in the spring. We are being intentional with our writing instruction and building stamina with our students. Our most current cluster cycle is on the math power standards. The Indiana Department of Education identifies high priority standards that have more emphasis placed on them. Ms. Allen and our classroom teachers have created calendars for the remainder of the year to ensure students are exposed to and taught these standards specifically. The Indiana Department of Education also provides clarifying examples for our teachers. These examples mimic what the students often see on the iLearn assessment. Again, we are being very intentional with our planning and teaching to ensure that students are prepared as possible with a strong mathematical foundation. At this time, I wanted to share with you one of our clarifying examples from one of our 4th grade high priority standards. At this time, I ask that you pick up your device and return to your Jamboard. So you will press the home button twice. You will click to slide 2 if you haven't done so already. You do that in the middle of your screen. So at this time, Ms. Jersha is going to put the clarifying example back up, and we ask that you share your answer or part of your answer with the class on Jamboard. As a reminder, we ask that you click the 4th button on the left side that will populate the Post-it note sticky information. Please type your answer and click submit. From there, click cancel and drag your Post-it note under your picture.
Where do we go to frame 2?
Go up at the top where there's like, oh,
Yeah.
let's see.
Go here.
Start again.
Says Lily is having a sleepover with 2 friends. They order 1 party-sized submarine sandwich, and it is cut into 12 equal parts. They eat the entire sandwich, but each person has a different number of parts. What is one way the sandwich was served? Write an equation to represent your answer equal to 12 over 12. Is there a different way the friends could have shared the sandwich?
What's the question again?
Can you
Too much
repeat the
pressure?
question? We're not paying attention.
Oh dear. About 30 more seconds here. We're just gonna chalk that up to tech. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's frame 1. Okay. Okay. All right, so I know for your adult minds, this may not have been challenging, but keep in mind that 9 and 10-year-olds are digesting this information. The test consists of 40+ questions of this rigor. This is strenuous. This one example asks 3 different questions. We are trying to teach our students to persevere through these examples because it can often lead to fatigue and shutdown. As we all know, this one assessment doesn't define us. However, our students can perform at a higher level. There are so many contributing factors than just that percent proficient that is often publicized. One thing is constant at Northview Elementary, and that is our school community. We are not just teachers. We are nurses. We are bonus moms. We are nurturers. We are friends. We are mentors. We are family. The various titles are endless for our school community. Northview has historically had a veteran staff. However, this year we are blessed with 4 new staff members, 2 serving their first year in education. The fresh perspective of these individuals has played a valuable role in our growth this year. These new staff members have brought new strategies to our veteran teachers, and our veteran teachers have brought years of experience to our new teachers. One tremendous blessing to our school population this year is the addition of our new neighbors from Afghanistan. As serving in the capacity of the EL coordinator, I've been working firsthand with the families. Likewise, all students of elementary age are attending Northview Elementary. We have a preschooler, 3 kindergartners, a 2nd grader, a 3rd grader, and 4 4th graders. The overall acceptance of these students and the outpouring of support has been phenomenal. I know Ms. Jarrett is going to speak to the Newcomers Program at Northside next, but at Northview, we are experiencing firsthand the full immersion of these students in the classroom, and their growth is already amazing. Also, I wanted to share that our students have created some artwork for you as they historically do. And on the back of the artwork, it says, "A single strip of paper is not strong. It can be easily twisted and broken. However, when many strips are woven together, they create a unified and strong artwork. The Northview family is like a weaving. We are stronger and even more beautiful when we work together and support one another." So each student at Northview created one strand of the weaving that you have, and then they were weaved together. So this is a conglomeration of artwork from our pre-K all the way to our 5th grade students. And you are allowed to take that home with you this evening at the completion of the program. Thank you so much for going along with our Rockets trajectory this evening. There are so many great things and great people at Northview Elementary that this presentation just cannot express that. Northview is more than just a school, it's a family. Thank you for allowing me to share. And are there any questions this evening?
So, Ms. White, thank you so very much. Does anybody have any questions?
Okay.
Is there anything you need from us
That
we can provide?
we could always benefit from a nurse right now. If anybody knows anyone, please help them express interest to interim, because we could benefit from a school nurse right now. We are lacking that, and in the middle of a pandemic, it's very challenging to make some of those judgment calls. And I know Jenny Smithson has been working with interim on that, but that is a daily struggle for us right now.
And we have a plan with Meridian, so we should be able to make some adjustments quickly.
Yes. So Mrs. Smithson is working, and it's just a bunch of moving parts right now that we're waiting on.
Okay. Any additional questions? Thank you again. Now we have the Newcomers Program.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Jarrett, and I am on an adventure. An adventure that I never thought in my lifetime I would have. I am the teacher of the newcomers, the Afghan children who come to Muncie and have been brought over and are now in school. So let's start in the beginning. In the beginning, it started on November 29th when the families came into Muncie Community Schools. They had no prior schooling experience for the most part. If the boys went to school, they would go to school from 9 until 12. and the girls were not allowed to go to school. So some children have never been in an environment where they have had expectations from another person, where they've had a different language, and they have me. So I'm loud, I am direct, and most of the time kind of fun, but it's all new. They also speak Pashto, which is a language that I do not speak. I speak English, but they do not speak English, they do not read English, they do not write English. Some of them can't read or write Pashto. They can write their names. So my adventure started. You can go into this experience with open eyes and say, okay, here we go. And that's just what I did. And it has been the best thing ever for me. My students are learning. They are understanding. And the way I did this was we created an environment that was safe for them. On the wall are pictures of their families. It brings mom and dad and brothers and sisters into the classroom. Each one has their name up there with their pictures. It is a talking point, so they begin to interact with me and talk about their families, their experiences. And most of the time, I can understand part of it. The good news is I have a translator named Sadiq, and I have an extra set of hands with Jane Selensky. They help immensely because although the children, there are currently 5 in my room, there are 3 girls ages 13, 14, and 16 who have never been in school. And I currently have 2, we call them little boys. They are 9 and 10. And they're getting ready to move to Northview once they kind of acclimate a bit to coming to school and having a routine. The transition then, the object of the game is that my students are with me for a little bit, and then they will transition out and be in the population at Northside Middle School, or they will go on to the high school. So some of the brothers that are older are currently in the high school, some are in adult ed, and now we have the moms coming to school as well. So getting off of the bus on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays are my class and their moms. And it's wonderful. And the children at Northview just kind of part ways, and everybody kind of comes in. We have the assigned teacher, and what we've done is I designed the learning to be very intentional and very meaningful for them. I cannot base it on what they know in previous experiences at school. It has to rely on phonics background, on literature, and on basic learning of how children progress through the learning process. Right now, they are doing kindergarten and first grade words, but I have good news at the end, so don't worry about that. Okay, so here are my challenges. First of all, we had some language and cultural barriers where the language was clearly an experience, but some of the cultural barriers ended up being where you can hug or when you can't hug. So I had to be careful when I cut. You would assume that this would be fine for scissors. It is not fine. So we cut. Food preferences. Charwell's has been amazing. They're letting us go in and try food. I'm a mom first, and so the rule at my house is 1 bite. And so we have 1 bite in the morning and 1 bite in the lunch. So we finally figured out that they like chicken, they eat rice, they eat lots of potatoes, and they'll eat most of the fruits. The temperature and the air quality in the room was a problem. It was causing headaches. Thank goodness for John and his staff. They came through, cleaned our air ducts, no more headaches. Warm weather and clothing for the students. Their dresses are thin, and they were not expecting the cold weather. They came in flip-flops. So we went down to the Delaware County clothing distribution and the St. Vincent de Paul, and they gave them coats and shoes and hats and mittens and socks and underwear and whatever that they needed in order to stay warm. A child can't learn if they are hungry, if they're cold, or if they don't have shelter. I can take care of 2. Okay, the technology and accessibility and usage, again, it's in English. So getting the programs on the iPads and then figuring out how to use them. Imagine the experience that you had that Miss White showed you with your iPads. Imagine not speaking English. I mean, explaining that. So those are kind of the things that we worried about. And frankly, there's nothing we can do about this, but it's a very long school day. 9 to 4 for 9-year-olds. One little boy looked at me and went, done? I said, no, honey, we can do it 2 more hours. Come on. So we have. Now the good news is every one of those challenges was met. Everybody made sure that the temperature was right, the technology worked, that the clothing was taken care of, the food. Everybody stepped in, and collectively we helped all these children already. Successes, they were all resolved. We established a daily routine. So the students know when they walk in, this is what's going to happen, and so on. They are now able to ride the bus, walk in and out of the school by themselves, and walk to special classes without me. When we started, I met them at the bus, got them off, waved at the bus driver, made sure they got back on the correct bus. That's huge for students who don't know. They know their English alphabet and their corresponding sounds. They can count, they know their colors, and they can add numbers. Now there's an asterisk after knowing their sounds. We had one of those aha moments last week on Monday. One of my little girls had my stick and I'm going through the alphabet and I said, A, apple. And she said, ant. And I looked at her, I said, yes. I went like this and they kept on going. Went to B and C, and they knew all of the letters of the alphabet, the corresponding sounds, X and Y, a problem, but I'll give it to them. So they knew all of their sounds, which is a huge thing for children who, they don't even look, the letters don't even look familiar to them. They're reading primary level books, and right now we are learning and counting money, because in addition to teaching them how to read and write and speak, they have to live in the United States. So there are certain things that we need to teach them. One is the value of money. So after we get done, probably next week, I'm going to get a little white bus, and we're going to go to the Dollar Tree, and we're going to spend our money so that they learn how much a dollar means, what you can buy for $1, how to count the money, how many pennies are in $1, those kinds of things. Okay, so a lot of our experiences have been through, and a lot of our conversations have come in activities like this. In the holidays, they do not celebrate Christmas, clearly. And so we decorated festive cookies, and their word was sweet, sweet. The word is more, like more. We would say more. 3 is more than 2. More is very sweet, so cookies, more. So we made cookies and frosted cookies. They baked them, and we did all the words that went along with the process of baking cookies. We've been writing our sight words. So we've been doing at and in and the word families. And we used shaving cream last Friday for Fun Friday with Mrs. Jared. And so we were writing our at words in the shaving cream. And here we go. Here are my girls reading.
Carlos has 1 kitten. Carlos has 2 kittens. Carlos has 3 kittens. Carlos has 4 kittens. Carlos has 5 kittens. Good. Carlos has 6 kittens. Carlos has 7 kittens. Carlos has too many kittens.
So we had to go, we were learning our words, and if you're curious, I can now count to 10 in Pashto. So if they want to know 4, I go salute, and then salute, and then they can figure that out. but that was a big feat to read a book. They had never read a book in their life. Okay, in the future, I'm hoping that they become less reliant on the translator. That has begun. We can have a discussion, we can have a chat at lunch, and I'll say something and the children will respond. Now, they don't want to respond in English yet, but they will clearly respond in Pashto. We are trying desperately to get them to be able to use a locker, but my numbers are like 17 and 3, so it's not lining up to the right number, but we're trying, we're rotating, all of that. And I want them to become more integrated, so they're more part of the Northside Middle School community. They currently have a buddy where will come in and have lunch with them. We go to art class with Mr. Farber. They love it. Mr. Farber has 6 more students in the room, so we all are kind of a collective class. This doesn't happen without special thanks. So thank you to the board and Dr. K for all the equipment, all the supplies that have come my way. It makes life so much easier. To Dan, Tony, and Rick for their computer support. I'll say, I can't get on, and they'll come running. It's wonderful. To Chartwells for their assistance with lunch. To my EWA staff and friends, Cindy Miller, Courtney Williams, Casey Heineman. Anything I need, those 3 will come to my aid. I have gotten books, I have gotten word cards, I have gotten counters, whatever I need. If they have it, they share. And finally, last but definitely not least, Mr. Grimm, Chandra Teal, and Lori Church from Northside for their continuing support to make this all possible. So I am on my journey, and it is a journey that is making a huge difference in the lives of the Afghan girls and children in this community. They are safe here. Their families are safe here. And we as a school are providing an experience that they would not get anywhere else. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What does the follow along look like for them as they continue to encounter language and cultural barriers? Do they have continued support once they start integrating to the classroom? Do they get pre-later on?
Yes. They don't go to a class without me right now. If they get into a class and they freeze or they feel uncomfortable, we simply leave. The teacher knows that we're going to calm down, and then we'll try it again the next day. They will not be without support when they go into another class. The translator will be within distance of getting them, and there will always be someone there to help them. Does that make sense?
And so what about like next year? Like you already have students who are at different buildings.
Right.
So what about like the next year for those students?
So that's through our English Learner Program, and Heidi is overseeing that with us. So we're able to hire additional English learner teachers. We've also hired Sadiq as our translator, but he doesn't just work in the newcomers classroom.
No.
Sadiq is helping in adult education, so he works there doing translation. He also goes to the high school and checks in with the boys that are at the high school. If any of them have trouble in a classroom, he can go and really serve almost as an aide, being in the classroom, working through that with them. And same thing, we tell Heidi if she needs additional assistance. The Ball Brother Foundation has been generous and given us an extra grant to help with support. So if we need to get aides in to help with some of the students, that we're able to do that. Next year, because of the data collection at the Department of Ed, our students that are refugees weren't captured on any data collection because they came after that date it was due. Next year, we will be one of the few districts that qualify for additional grant funding for having refugees. So that will help us with supporting with materials and staff that way as well.
Okay. Any additional questions for Ms. Jarrett?
Thank you. You mentioned that the students have been well accepted. Do we see an opportunity for all of the other students in the school to benefit from having the refugees here?
Right now, because I have mainly girls, I kind of have them secluded right now. And when they first came in, we kind of stayed apart. They are, as we go down the hall, people will say hello, and my girls will say hello, and so they're starting to have an interaction. I have never, since we've been here, seen anyone make fun of them or point. They have asked, why is their head covered? And we explain that to them. Or why isn't there a Christmas tree in your room, Jared? I will explain that as well. So it's coming around, and going to art class has been good. We're going to try to go into lunch. Lunch is very loud, and I don't know.
Would I be able to have Meg? Meg actually has 3 of the Afghan students in her classroom, so she may be able to talk from, just to answer your question from her perspective too. Because the newcomers class is very different than when they're in the general population in schools, which that's our goal. When we put them in the newcomers classroom, it really is if they have never had any school experience and it's all so overwhelming. We want them to get acclimated and to start learning our language, even though some of Meg's class may not know the language as well. But so go ahead, Meg. How would you respond to Mr.
Number one, I
Huber?
should give credit to my class because they really have been phenomenal. Dr. K was able to come in and have a quick discussion. We're going to be having some new students join us. Unfortunately, they won't be able to necessarily communicate the best with you. So we had a lot of pre-talking or conversations before they were able to come. They did a quick little visit. They were in the school for I think 2 or 3 days and got to know the lay of the land pretty much. And then through there, they would come in and then leave a little bit, come in and then leave a little bit. We had Ashlyn Wolfren was there for a while. She's on maternity leave now, but she was phenomenal as well, helping them get acclimated. But they have been with us since after fall break, okay, and it has been phenomenal. I mean, I should give credit to my class, but it has been a seamless transition. We have learned a lot from them, and vice versa. Today I learned salam, which means hello, by the way, and I went to next door to the other 4th grade teacher, and I found another student, and I said salam, and he said salam. It's been really, really beneficial. My kids have learned a lot. They're like sponges. I mean, I'm doing flashcards. It's just been honestly seamless. So that's just a little tip of the iceberg. But like I said, my class has been very welcoming. And I have one kid who's writing his name in Pashto. Every single day he turns a paper in. His name is in English, and right next to it, Pashto, every single day. So it's really been a phenomenal experience, and I'm really excited to have them. And I have 3 of the best, I'm just saying. So thank you.
I can speak to it just a little bit because my son is in that class, and I can't tell you any of the words that he has come home and told me, but he's learning. I'm not, but he is learning some things from them, and he's talked to me about some of the things that they like and don't like and how it's different from him. So even at 10 years old, they are absolutely picking up some of the unique culture experiences. So it's really cool. Go ahead.
I just want to speak to our kindergartners' experience because they came in speaking absolutely no English whatsoever. And the other day I was talking to Mr. Sadiq, and his child is in one of our kindergarten classrooms, and he said, he sounds English to us, like he sounds American to us, because he's making some of those sounds that they don't have in their alphabet and in their vocabulary. So those kids are, even the little bitty ones, are just like sponges, and they are soaking it in. And those kids are so supportive of one another as well. So it has been a phenomenal experience to participate in.
So, Mrs. Jarrett, including the kids in the newcomers classroom and at Northview, how many total, and throughout the system, how many total Afghan students do we have now?
I have 5.
I think there are 18 total. We have 10, when those, 2 of those are counted from hers. And she technically has the 3 ladies, and then I believe there are about 5 at the high school.
18 total.
Mm-hmm. And you know, we're told that by the end of the year, there could be potentially up to 50 families that will be coming to Muncie. So we're, probably at six families right now?
About 6.
Mrs. Jarrett, is there anything that you mentioned your challenges up there. Anything that you need that we could provide that you're not getting?
You know what? I appreciate you asking, but right now, I think I'm fine. The board has provided us with some Osmo, which are some interactive computer things, all the books and things that I need. But if I need something, I'll call you. How about that?
That's great. How are the Pashto English books I bought? Did any of them stay with you?
Those will stay with me. The number book was the best one because then I can write one. Here we go. Our first word, one. Yo. Everybody, here we go. Yo, one. That's your first word in Pashto. One. Yo is one. But I could write yo on the board, and then they would be able to see it. They knew the numbers, but the books are wonderful. Mr. Siddiq will read those. I will read the words. He will read it in Pashto, and he follows along. Just so you know, Pashto is read right to left, and it is all scrolled and scripts with dots. And so I'm writing left to right, and so I'm pointing this way, and Siddiq goes this way. And I'm going, okay, so it's really helpful. But those are wonderful. Thank you.
Any additional questions? And then I have a question for you. How's Jacob doing?
Great, Jacob is wonderful. Thank you for asking. He's a senior. He is a happy Bearcat. He is part of the SALT group, the Student Athletic Leadership Team. So he's attending all of the basketball games, and he is kind of immersing himself in the culture. Academically, life is great. He's doing wonderful.
I have not forgotten about him, and I know we had a meeting set that I had to reschedule, and I will reset that once things calm down a little bit with
That will be fine. He will look forward
the
to
world
it.
of COVID. What are his plans next year?
Jacob is planning on becoming a forensic chemist. So he's currently taking 5 AP classes, and he's planning on going to Ball State, but he knows that he needs to have like a doctorate. So we're thinking Michigan State or SUNY Albany.
Okay.
Very close, I'm sure. But John and I are providing the best kind of background we can for him. He just enjoys learning, and so chemistry is kind of one of his things he enjoys.
Well, please tell him that I asked about him.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work. With that, Dr. Kay.
Oh, great. How do you follow Heidi White and Jared? The students didn't know to say Mrs. Jared, they just would call her Jared. So I laugh and tease her and call her Jared now. So thank you, both groups. We appreciate all that you're doing. Some of you have noticed we launched a new website. We believe it's more attractive and user-friendly. We would love to have feedback. The form for feedback is under the Communications tab. And so if any of the folks out there or any of you would like to give us any input, please make sure you let us know. I'm also proud that over Christmas, we learned that FFSA, which is out of the state agency, was using some of their federal funds to provide for preschool. So we quickly applied, and we were awarded $24,581 to help with salaries at East Washington, Northview, and Westview, and $49,172 per site at Grissom and Southview. And so the reason you don't hear Longfellow is they're operated by Huffer. And so anytime we can get additional funds, we are always seeking them. So we were thrilled with that. And Sarah Price was on vacation, and they wouldn't let me into the site because she's the director. I called her up anyway, and I said, we'll give you this as a work morning. And she got that on there and helped us be able to get that grant. So I appreciated it. We have our Church Hiddle Antrim report based on the student assignments that generated posters. We are expecting that report to be forthcoming in the next week or so. And so once we have that report, we'll be sharing that at a later date then with our stakeholders. I am also proud that Rhonda Ward started up Diversity Cats again at the high school. This was a group that she met with after school last year. And because so many of the students were involved in extracurricular activities, she couldn't get regular participation. But this year, since there's an advisory period, she met with the group and they are starting up again during the advisory time. I also, last year, Drew Shermetta spoke with me about our legislators and some of the bills. And so Jim and I promised him that we would get him in front of some of our legislators this year. So Drew and I, over Christmas break, were able to meet with several of our legislators, as well as Secretary of Education Katie Jenner. And we both felt that that was a good day. We enjoyed having that opportunity. I actually then went back the second day because then they brought in some superintendents to meet with, so they got to hear from me 2 days in a row, and then I haven't been invited back again, but that's okay. I'm never shy to share our opinions. And then we also have the Dr. Martin Luther King Dream Team Youth Citizenship Awards will be taking place this week. We have 150 students from Delaware County that will be getting these awards, and they'll be presented with certificates, with ceremonies taking place all week. I believe North Sides is going to be on next Tuesday, but many of them are happening throughout this week. So that's my update for all of you.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. K? Any questions at all? Thank you. That's great news about the pre-K grants. That's very helpful. So at this point, Mr. Smeckens.
My name's Todd Smeckens, and I write for the Muncie Voice. I'm a journalist. I appreciate what you said about intentions. I was in a December meeting with the Muncie Redevelopment Commission and the mayor. And the mayor was talking about possibly getting the YMCA to give them the property across from Cannon Commons that they are selling so that they can build next to Muncie Central. And so I've been writing an article about that, and I asked him at that time how much, what was the purchase price? How much was the YMCA buying that piece of property from the school? And in December, he said, I don't know. So I asked him again, and he said, I don't know. And well, I communicated with your communications director, and then he told me that in October, you guys had already ratified a deal that they were paying nothing for that piece of property at Muncie Central in October. So I'm not really sure that the mayor was unaware of that. I think he may have lied to me. But I'm going to say he didn't know. Okay? I'm going to say he didn't know. So now I'm coming back to you guys because you ratified a deal through an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, between the Jim Williams and the CEO of YMCA for nothing. That's how much YMCA is paying for a piece of property at Muncie Central. So they're going to build a building there, and according to the MOU, it says that Muncie Central or Muncie Community School System people may use that facility once it's built. Well, I'm curious, what about the taxpayers that are paying for the school and have been subsidizing the Y for like, I don't know, 50 years in Muncie? Do they get a free membership, or is it just Muncie Community Schools negotiated that? So that's one question. The other one is, I asked if there was a conflict of interest statement signed at the same time as the MOU. And he said, why? I said, well, because The Ball Brothers Foundation and Judd Fisher donates to Ball State. They donate to Muncie Community Schools.
Mr. Smeckens, your time is up.
And they donate, no, it's
Yeah,
not.
we have 3 minutes and your time's up.
No, it's not. And they donate to the YMCA.
Mr. Smeckens, our policy is 3 minutes.
It's not 3 minutes. I haven't talked for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
So my
You're-
question is, where's the conflict of interest?
Mr. Smeckens, there is no conflict of interest.
What do you mean there's no conflict of interest?
Mr. Smeckens, your 3
You've
minutes is
got
up.
the same donors for all 3 entities. There is a conflict of interest.
Mr. Smeckens, you are free to consult a lawyer and pursue whatever
What do you
claim
mean
you wish.
consult a lawyer? I'm asking you guys. You're the one that ratified the contract.
Mr. Smeckens, your time is up.
So you're not going to answer the question.
Mr. Smeckens, your time is up.
Who are you?
Mr. Smeckens, I'm Mr. Williams.
Yeah?
Your time is up.
So you're the one that signed the contract.
I did.
Did you consult a lawyer?
We did.
Yeah? Who?
Church, Hiddle, and Antrim, Mr.
Who?
Smeckens. Church, Hiddle, and Antrim. David Day at that firm.
Can I get that information from your communications director?
You certainly can.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smeckens. Have a good evening. Mr. Hyatt.
And just again, I'll make sure that people know that we are setting a timer, and I'll put it up
I
here so
understand you
people
say
can
we're
see it.
keeping these on tonight.
We are keeping these on.
Chris
Right
Hyatt,
here.
Muncie, Indiana. I want to first clear up a little discrepancy we had at our last discussion, Mr. Williams, concerning the performance of the Muncie Community Schools academically, which is, I consider, the primary responsibility of the school system. These are reports that I get directly off the Indiana Department of Education, which shows an 18.5% ISTEP passing rate. Shows a 31% transfer out rate in fall of 17, 33% 18, 34% in 19, 35% in 20, 2,518 students transferred out of the school corporation. I'll just leave those there for you, which translates into $17 million. However, the mask issue segues into what I think is a more urgent issue right now. I attended the work session last month that you had where Meridian Services gave a presentation concerning the students' emotional and physical and health concerns in the school system and how serious some of these issues have become. And I wholeheartedly agreed with much of what was said. I found it interesting that during the course of the presentation and the subsequent interaction between the Meridian Services and the board that nobody brought up the biggest elephant in the room. And to that extent, I think it's these face diapers we're wearing. You know, I heard in a meeting prior to that references to opinions rendered by Jeff Bird, maybe Jamie Bain, and others concerning the board's decision.
Mr. Bain, Dr. Bain was not mentioned. It was Peter Voss,
Peter Voss.
Chief Medical Officer of BMH.
So I would encourage, and I would definitely like to see the opportunity for those individuals, and maybe even including the Delaware County Health Officer, to address the board and put on the official record that our primary school students are at more risk from the coronavirus than they are from wearing these worthless face coverings on a day in and day out basis in the attendance of Muncie Community School System. Because I don't know whenever you might come to your collective senses and realize the damage that's being done, and that would be damage that is proven by the science. That damage is being done by this abusive policy is going to be irreversible. And every day that it continues, more damage is being done. You know, I don't expect anyone, given one of you board members, to step up and take a stand with this. I think, you know, it's a pretty collectively, personally appointed group of individuals here that are like-minded. But I think the policy needs to end, and the sooner the better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hyatt. Appreciate your input. We are on to the consent agenda. We have items 5.01 to 5.12. Any questions concerning items in the consent agenda? Want to recognize specifically those longtime contributors to Muncie Community Schools, Kathy Kimbrell, Nancy Muncie, Teresa White, who have retired from Central High School, the first two, and Westview Elementary School, the last one, and thank them for their devoted years of service to our MCS family. Would also like to thank those members of our community who have generously given to the community over the course of the past couple of months. Significant dollars totaling nearly $16,000 of donations and gifts throughout. So thank you to each of those who continue to believe in Muncie Community Schools and our mission. With that, any additional questions concerning the items in the consent agenda? With that, we'd entertain a motion. Second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we'll show those passed. Mr. Jerome.
Thank you. Included in your board packet was the 12-month financial result as of December 31st, 2021, where all the data is actual data at that point. There's no more estimates, no more predictions or forecasts of expenses or revenue. That was our snapshot at the end of the year. So very, very pleased to report $240,000 higher revenue than the previous month on the state basic grant. That was due to higher numbers we received for CTE vocational, which meant we had higher year-to-date revenue, still based upon our student count of 4,929. Ended the year, we did, pay our long-term debt, our normal debt payments that were due in December. And so therefore, we still ended the year with a total cash balance, a total checkbook of $35.9 million, which is certainly as high as it's been since I have been here for the last 3 years, since December of 18. Also, the education fund balance at $13.8 million. And also, we were able to build the rainy day fund balance to $12.1 million, as well as the outstanding loan to the state is now down to $11.1 million, and that's per the amortization payment of $50,000 a month. So those are all very much positives to report to you. We were able to spend on the appropriation remaining page, that's page number 4 on the little packet. The operation fund, we spent right up to the approval of about $13 million. We spent, just below $39,000 of what was available. And that continues to be our pressure as we go into 2022. The budget was approved for 2022 in that operation fund at $12.6 million. So that just continues that pressure that we have. We spent about $600,000 less this year in the operation fund from the year before, so we'll be pressured to spend about $400,000 less next year in the operation fund, because that's the fund that takes the impact of the tax cap. So that's kind of the only thing that's looming out there that we've seen coming for a number of years. The tax cap, we receive about 51 or 52% of expected property taxes. So also in your packet there, just the charts and graphs, I put all the cash balances that shows it's trending up, and that's a positive in every which way you would look at it. Excuse me. And we'll cover some of that again when we get to the Board of Finance meeting at the end of this meeting, but very positive report at the end of December. So,
Any questions for Mr. Jerome? Thank you, Brad. Would entertain a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Been moved.
Second.
Seconded. Did you get those, Cindy? It was. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have some rainy day fund transfers, always an exciting event.
Yes, this is just asking the board permission. We made transfers when we closed our books up to 2.7 million. We took from education fund and put into rainy day, so we're asking the school board permission to make that particular transfer, that is what we did in December to close the books.
Okay. For those viewing at home, the rainy day fund and putting money aside is something that MCS had not done in, a decade?
A long time, evidently.
So, thank you, Mr. Jerome. Thank you to all of those administrators and leaders here this evening, and to those teachers, and to everyone who contributed to sound fiscal management. Obviously, for those watching at home and have heard some of the public comments, the issue involving the statutory partnership created by the legislature was driven by academic and fiscal concerns. Obviously, the academic issues remain paramount for all of us, and we've faced unprecedented challenges, but the fiscal issues that had bedeviled MCS for a number of years, we are on a good trajectory, and Brad, thank you for all of your work, so we appreciate that. With that, would entertain a motion for the transfer. I'm pointing at you, Dave, because I think you're the man to do it.
Second.
I've got a second from Dr. Irvin. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Oh, education transfer to the operations fund.
Right, thank you. This is the giving us permission in 2022, this calendar year, to make the transfer of funds from education to operation fund up to 15% of your total revenue. That works out for us to about $517,000 a month. So what I do, I put this resolution in front of you not to exceed 15% of the total education fund revenue, asking the board's permission to make that transfer.
Any questions?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
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 Motion or resolution carries. The 2021 year-end transfers resolution.
Yes, that's also included in your board packet. This was just to allow us to make sure that we put all our balances at the end of December in a positive balance, and you do that through transfers as part of the year-end process. It's just asking board permission to make those transfers happen.
Any questions concerning the transfer? Would entertain a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Been moved by Mr. Irvin.
Second.
Seconded by Dr. O'Neill. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that resolution carries. We have a property and casualty insurance renewal, which is always a
Thank you.
fun part of the evening.
This was due right there at the tail end, December 31st, and we did receive these at the tail end of the calendar year. And we're asking the board permission to accept these proposals for the new year. To make a long story short, the property and casualty insurance, workers' compensation, and cyber insurance, that total package together came in at $453,849, which was $59,000 less than the year before. So that is a savings to us in the operation fund. So there's part of our savings. We're looking for $400,000 in savings. There's a good start right there that we were able to achieve. So anyway, we're just asking the board permission to approve this, and our USI local insurance agency helped us with that to gather those quotes to make this happen.
Okay.
So in this day and age with insurance going down, that's phenomenal. What do you attribute it to?
Oh, boy. They shopped it, they shopped it around. They got a different competing quotes, a different carrier than the year before. Usually the best answer is claims drive premiums. So we were fortunate that some of items that have caused losses in the past are in our rearview mirror a little further, so.
Good. Thank you.
I think it's important to note too that coverages didn't change, so
Right.
we aren't reducing cost at at increasing risk. So I think, and in fact, our reinsurance went down, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So
Right, we
good
did.
work.
We tried to take
stop
advantage
loss.
of some strategies they recommended to try to lessen the impact as best we could, so,
Good job. Move approval.
yep.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We have a library board appointment, which is in front of you in your packet. Any questions regarding that appointment? If so, would entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Okay, we've got a motion.
Second.
Second. We have our library folks here tonight. I see Akila. Beth. So, how are things going at the library?
Everything's going fine. We are still open, although we're very cautious. We wear the mask not like the poem, but we wear the mask for our children and for those who are not vaccinated. I'm Akila, the operations director, in case
Yep.
for you out there who don't know who I am. And we appreciate the board, approving our appointment for this evening. We are fortunate to have with us tonight, may I?
Sure.
Please stand. I have Reverend Renee Wagner from Ivy Tech College. She is the Director of Diversity, Equity, Belonging, and Community Relations for the faith-based community. She will complete the unfulfilled role of a board member who had to retire.
Okay.
Because he moved out of district. So we welcome her and we thank you so much for supporting our board in the selection of Ms. Wagner.
So, thank you so much for your willingness to serve. I love your mask.
Thank you.
And just for the benefit of all those watching and those here, the Muncie Public Library is a special institution. And it does great work in the community at large, and it serves Muncie Community School students on a daily basis in ways that most people, or many people perhaps don't realize, but we could not do what we do without the support of Muncie Public Library. So thank you so much for what you do. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So, Ms. Wagner, it was unanimous, in case you were worried. Okay, now, I believe we have to do something a little bit unique.
Yeah, once a year, the Board of Finance. Yep.
We have to convene, right?
We have to convene the Board of Finance, so I'll allow you to convene the Board of Finance, and the first thing you have to do is have someone appointed as president and secretary to conduct the meeting.
So, do I convene the Board of Finance?
Sure.
We'll convene the Board of Finance. So, I think in the past, and I think I've been the president, you've been the secretary, but I'm not sure about that. So, I'm not volunteering for the role, I'm just saying if you guys want to keep it moving.
It's a great idea to me.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think do we have that by acclamation, or do you need a motion?
I think you need a motion.
Okay, so we need a motion to appoint.
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to appoint Mr. Williams as president of the Board of Finance, Mr. Heater as the secretary of the Board of Finance. Do you accept that appointment, Mr. Heater?
I do.
As do I. So now what do we do, Mr. Jerome?
Now you're going to receive the information from me that I will then discuss with the Board of Finance.
Okay,
And then
well-
your job will be to sign this report at the end, so.
And I've seen that report, so
Okay.
tell me about it.
Okay. Basically, your trend is up on most all fiscal health indicators, or the only thing that had trended down was our actual interest earned for the year of 2021. We earned $62,000 on our funds, and that was compared to the year before was $79,000. And that's mostly a function of interest rates are almost non-existent. Our fund balances are certainly higher. Basic information like our cash balance, our total cash balance as well, which also includes the education fund balance, never been higher. At the end of December, it was $35.9 million. The year before was 27.8. The year before that, 22.5. So it's trended up $13 million in the last 3 years. 24 million it's gone up in the last 4 years. So the trend is up on your cash balance. Your long-term debt, we're making those payments as required and as expected. And our rainy day fund balance is also going up. So at this time, I did not have any other two-year-old outstanding checks to present to the Board of Finance. I will do that at a later meeting. And if there's no other questions, that's really up to you to ask me any other questions. Because this data you have here is called the Fiscal Health Indicators. That's a state website. This data is 1 year old, so it's stale. It's December 31st, 2020. So that's why I tried to provide data for you that's 2021. But we're definitely trending the correct way.
Okay, so within your board packets, all the members had access to this information. Is there any questions, or are there any questions, I should say, of Mr. Jerome?
I just have a quick question. Are we legislated how you can invest, the limitation on the risk you can invest?
We're so limited. I mean,
It's very limited, okay.
Yeah, we can't do anything exotic.
Can't be risky
No.
with it. There's certain, okay.
No.
Not that I'm proposing that, but I'm just kind of curious.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
No, can you even do T-bills?
We can do certificates of deposits, we can do some sweeps, but we just,
Yeah.
right now it's just, obviously we've seen some interest rates, going up perhaps, and maybe that will happen, but that means because of inflation, but we'll see.
Are CD rates going to sneak up? Slowly.
Slow, yeah, slow.
Are we going to see 1980 10%?
Okay.
No, I mean.
There's always some hope.
So that concludes my information to the Board of Finance tonight.
Okay. Any questions, any additional questions? Would entertain a motion to approve the Board of Finance report.
Move to approve.
Mr. Lowe's moved to approve it.
Second.
Mr. Irvin has seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn the Board of Finance?
So moved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been seconded. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll adjourn the Board of Finance. We return to the regular agenda. We have dialogue of the board and future recommendations. Mrs. Snyder, how are things at the high school?
Okay. Struggle. Business hasn't been good, but
Okay.
I'm trying to get help.
Are you doing okay?
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay.
I was gonna ask the lady here earlier, I'll talk to her later, but I have Aziz is in my class. And I'm dying for more information about him, like, he just showed up in my class and I didn't get any information. So did you get the PowerPoint that Sadiq made a PowerPoint that was to go out to all the teachers and then for you guys to share it with all your students? We'll have to make sure, because we sent that to the schools. Did you guys get it at Northview? Did you? Well, you wouldn't share it with students, but high school certainly could. Did you find it to be helpful?
I think so, yes.
So it tells a little bit. So Sadiq made that to help people understand the culture a little better. But I'm happy to chat with you afterwards, Julie.
So I had the pleasure of having Sadiq shadow me for a couple of days, and Sadiq is actually a lawyer. He's trained as a lawyer in Afghanistan and has done some international training. And he got to participate in observing a mediation with me. And it was particularly contentious, and I think he really enjoyed himself seeing. So, is there any additional dialogue? Back to the issue, and I know Mr. Hyatt had raised it, the issue of mental health. I know, and thank you, Mr. Heater, from Mutual Foundation and the donation to assist with some of that. But keep us, if we could get a report next board meeting as to
Sure.
what we're doing.
Do you want a quick one now or
Sure,
just wait?
sure.
So just a few things we've done. We've reached out to the Healthy Lifestyle Center at Ball State University, and I have a meeting scheduled for them to help with some of our wellness plan. We also, if you recall, Tiffany Arnold was hired through Ball State, through when the partnership first began, and she was our volunteer coordinator. So I've been working with Delana to expand that job description to be not only the coordinator of volunteers, but also of wellness. So that way she could expand, or he or she, because that will be a posting we'll have soon. We have met with our principals and asked each of them to go back when they have their teacher meetings, ask teachers what they would like to see for wellness. And same thing with our master and mentor teachers, reached out to them, have solicited some other ideas that we'll put together, but we are moving forward with trying to get a good plan for us for this next semester.
Okay. Thank you. Anything additional? Would entertain, well, actually, any media inquiries? Okay, thank you. Would entertain a motion to adjourn us? Okay, motion. I'll second it. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening and good rest of the week.